Lethal flooding in eastern cities, unprecedented droughts in the West. This didn't just happen in the United States. China has had the same experience. The geographic similarities between the US and China are not often discussed. These commonalities mean that climate change may continue to affect the US and China in similar ways. As the two countries compete with each other and navigate their own internal politics, can they find common ground on their common ground?
China, like the United States, is a huge country. And like the United States, the climate impacts are quite different depending on what region. Let's think about sea level rise. Most of China's big cities and economic boom towns are on coastal China.
Similar to China, US populations are most concentrated on the northeast coast. Both countries have had issues with flooding there, and also elsewhere.
There was massive flooding in the city of Zhengzhou, where you had several people die after a mass rainfall led to a clogging of the metro system, as well as the flooding of buildings. And this started a discussion in China and on social media about the effects of climate change. Of course, the United States is also facing a similar dynamic where you have outlier weather, wildfires, for example, droughts across much of the western states, which is really provoking a discussion on climate change that we could avoid before.
China's recent experiences with drought in its western states has prompted Beijing to take action in the form of the South to North Water Diversion Project.
China has long faced water problems. Back in the ancient times, mainly flooding. But in the more modern era, with climate change impacts, northern China is becoming drier and drier.
As a result of climate change effects in both the US and in China, what we can expect is more unpredictability in terms of when rain and other kind of sources of water will come, and then how much water is going to be available during those periods. So it's really about increased variability.
There are still issues with people in the US accepting the reality of climate change, but that may be shifting.
As we've seen these severe weather events increasing in frequency and intensity, it is making the issue such that it really can't be ignored anymore.
Both the Xi and Biden administrations are now working to combat climate change.
I do think there are lots of ways that the US and China could cooperate to try to manage those risks.
As the first and second largest economies in the world and the first and second largest pollution emitters, it is critical that the United States and China find collective solutions on climate change. If one party is attempting to address the issue and the other isn't, we're not going to see the scale effects we would need to make a fundamental shift on climate change.
Like all countries in the world, the US and China will continue to experience the effects of climate change until significant progress is made. The future of climate action depends on whether they choose to embrace their common ground.